the operating system is not only in our laptop or desktop, it also exists in the mobile system. So in the mobile phones also the operating systems are there. So in this operating system lecture we are going to cover this operating system, what is meaning of this, and then computer system organization, then computer system functionalities. So these three topics we are going to cover here. So let's begin here. So first, what is the operating system? So actually operating system is nothing but the interface. So it's the interface between the user and the hardware, because the operating system plays very important role, and what it does, it helps in managing the resources available in the operating system. So if we say it is an interface, interface between user and computer hardware. So what are those computer hardwares? We can see that we have the CPU, we have the memory, and we have input output devices and so on. So these are the computer hardwares, and we directly can't access these hardwares, so we need some mediator. So that mediator is the operating system. So this operating system also known as the system software, we call it is a system software. So this is nothing but is also called a system software. Okay, so in this operating system, what is the main goal of the operating system? So the main goal of the operating system is to make the computer system convenient. Convenient to whom? Convenient to use to the user, and utilize the computer hardware in an effective and efficient manner. So what it does, it executes the user program, whatever program we supply, it executes that and make solving user problems very easier to us, and it make the computer system convenient to use and use the computer hardware in an efficient manner that I discussed. Okay, so if we say what is the role of the operating system in computer system? So like in human body we have the soul. So without soul, body is not active. So in the same way, this operating system plays the role in the computer systems. Okay, so computer system is structure. If we say the structure of the computer system is composed of these main components, that is the hardware, operating system, application, programs, and users. So in the hardware, I told we have the CPU, memory, input output devices, they are connected together in the operating system. This is the system software, and which controls and coordinates the use of these hardwares among the various applications and the users. So what are those application programs? So application program is nothing but the software for the use of the user. Say for example, we have the word processor, we have notepad, MS Paint, we install some other application software like Tally or any operating system, any other application software like web browser. So these different things comes under the application programs. Then we also have the system softwares, but that is used by the operating system for its functioning. So we have the users then, and user is the ultimate and is the end user that interacts with the operating system, who wants the work to be done by the computers. And not only user uses the computer, one machine also uses the another machines, okay, and the other different computings. So if we see this structure of the whole four components, so they are arranged like this. We have the user on the top layer, then we have the users interact with these application softwares, application programs like compiler, assembler, text editor, database management system, and so on. So what happens in that, we have the system and applications programs. These application programs, the system programs are there for the operating system, and application programs are dedicated for the users. And the operating system, as we told, it works as a mediator between the user and the hardware. So in the operating system also there is one important component that we call the kernel. So kernel is a program which plays an important role. Like in our body we have heart, so heart as plays the main important role, so it's the kernel also. Kernel continuously runs in the operating system and it directly interacts with these computer hardwares. So let's move to the next. So if we talk about the operating system definitions, so there is no universal definitions, but based on the features, based on the services provided by the operating system, we defined by ourselves. So first thing is we can see here, operating system is resource allocator. So what it does, it allocates the resources available in the computer system. So first one, we can say it manages all the resources, whatever resources are available in the operating system, in the computer system. Those resources, they are assigned to the different programs as requested by the users, and it decides between the conflict. If some conflicting requests are coming, means they are asking for the same resources. So in that way, in that situation also, the operating system plays an important role for the synchronization purpose, so that the fair use of the resources can be done. And it also works as a control program. So here it controls the execution of the program to prevent the errors and improper use of the computer system. So many times we have seen, while using, if you are giving some wrong input, if input is not correct, it will warn us or it will give some message, so that the correct execution can be done, can be ensured. So as I told, there is no universal definition of the operating system. So it approximation here based on the whatever software we require. We generally ask our vendors to install in the operating system, but it comes with the some essential programs also, and based on our requirement it varies. So kernel, I told, running all the time in the computer system, that we call the kernel, is the main part in the operating system that directly interacts with our hardware. So everything else is either, if we remove this we keep aside the kernel, then we have only the system programs and the application programs. So these are two things existing there, and with kernel in the operating system. So these all things compose the operating system. So let's also have a look over the computer startup, how its startup happens in the when we switch on our operating we switch on our computer system. So what happens whenever we power on, switch on the power button of the our desktop or laptop operating system, it starts loading from the hard disk to our RAM. So for that, before that, what we have, the BIOS, basic input output system. So in this firmwares are stored. So these firmwares are there. It what it does, it checks the all necessary requirements for the system, and it gives the instructions to our system. For that, the system starts booting. So what happened, we have powered on, then what will happen, the instruction will be getting here from the BIOS, and we have the hard disk. In generally in the hard disk we have the our operating system installed. So that operating system gets loaded to the RAM, where in the RAM operating system gets loaded. So after that, what happens, our Windows startup happens. So after Windows has started, our operating system has started, then we get this login window. Here we use user ID and password enter, and we enter into the operating system world, and we can now use, and we can interact, we can run any application programs for our use. So in this way, so actually what is happening when we have powered on and this login window came, so this duration is called the booting time. So it is booting time here, and in this booting time what happens, the system makes itself ready for the user, so that user can use. So in this time, this process is called the booting process. So this is the booting process, and booting happens in two ways. One is the cold booting and another one is the warm booting. Warm booting means cold booting. In the cold booting, this is called the cold booting, means when we have powered on the system and the system boots up and you get this one login window. So in the warm booting, when system is running and you have, what you did, you have restarted the system. So in that also booting happens. So at that time the booting is called the warm booting. So this is the simple definitions. So in this computer organization, system organization, if you look here, so these are the different components which assembles together, and then system is formed. This computer system comes into the picture, because in this way we have the different components. We have the, if we say, we have the CPU, central processing unit, and we have the disk controller. From the disk controller, the disks and the hard disks are connected, and we have the USB controller. From that we can connect the different input output devices. We have the monitors for the display purpose, that is the video display unit, and in that we have the graphic adapter which helps to see the output. So, and here the memory is there where all the programs executes, that we call the RAM generally. So in this way we have some of the components we have seen, and how they are connected. They are connected through this, we call the common bus, sometimes we call the system bus, and this common bus connects all those components together. They tie together these components, which gives the overall picture of the computer system. So in this way what we happen, so concurrent execution of the CPUs and devices competing for the memory cycles. So these competitions happen among the resources here. And if you go to the functionality or functions of the operating system, it performs the many functions. So first function you can see here, it is the device management. So that is, we call that, we have the input output devices. Say for example, we have the printer, we have the keyboard connected, and we have mouse connected in the system. We can also connect the scanner, video camera, so many things we can connect here. So in this way what is happening, we can see here these devices, whatever connected in our system, it's the job of the operating system to manage those things. So it does the function of the device management, then it does also the process management, because in the system the different processes are running, so those processes can be managed here. And we have the memory management, the storage management, file management, networking, protection and security. These are the some of the functions of the operating system. So the explanation is as follows here. If we talk about the process management, so first the process is nothing but a program in execution. So a program in execution is called a process. And if we talk about the program is treated as a passive entity or static entity, and the active state or the process is called the active entity. So whenever program in execution, that's why it is called a process. And when process runs, it requires many of the resources, because the process may be performing many tasks. For that it requires the CPU. Okay, it needs the memory where the program can run. It needs the input output devices for taking input and putting the output, displaying the output, and it requires some list of files. So that supporting files like header files we use in case of the some programs like C++ like that, and the initialization data. Next one is the process termination. It requires the reclaim of any reusable resources. Okay, so what is happening when process terminates? So whatever resources are available, they are released. So in this we have the thread concepts also. So thread is nothing but a lightweight process which has one program counter and that runs independently. So process executes instructions sequentially one at a time until the completions. Okay, if we have the concept of the threading, in the thread can be run concurrently, and that we call the multi-thread. So process may also run concurrently if they are independent, that we call the multi-threading by the synchronization. So typically system has many processes, some users, some operating system running concurrently on one or more CPUs. So concurrency by multiplexing the CPU among the processes and the threads. And we have this process management activities. So in this way we can see here the operating system is responsible for the following activities in connection with this process management. So what it can do, it can create and delete the user processes and the system processes. It can suspend if in the case of unavailability of the resources, and it can resume when resources are available. So providing the mechanism for the process synchronization, and it is also very important aspect in this, and it is done by the inter-process communications. They use the system call to communicate, and providing the mechanism for the process communication. So it is another important aspect that is related to the inter-process communication. We have the deadlock also. So it handles the deadlock. Deadlock is a situation where the blocked processes are there and no progress is happening. So in that cases system need to handle the deadlock situations so that they can use the resources. Okay, so next one is the memory management. So in the memory management, I already told it's very important topic in the operating system. So in the system we have the different memories. So in those memory that the programs executes and based on their responsibility. So execute a program, all or some of the part of the programs of the instructions must be in the memory. So whatever program is there, if we have the hard disk we have seen, so hard disk where the program may be residing, but what will at the time of execution we have to take the program to the random access memory. So here programs executes. So memory management determines what is in memory. So it determines the memory, what content is there in the memory and when it will be used and when it has came. So here the job is the optimization, CPU utilization, optimizing the CPU utilization and computer response to the users. So actually this one very important unit is there in the operating system that we call the MMU, memory management unit. So job of this MMU is to do these all management tasks. So in the memory management activities only it keeps the track of the which part of the memory is occupied by some program, and suppose this one is occupied by some program, these things, and this location is this portion is free for use. So this location is free, then what we can do, we can allocate to the other process, but these information must be maintained within the system. So who does it? This memory management unit does. So deciding which process and data to move into and out the memory, like we use the concept of the virtual memory concepts, we'll discuss in the later topics. So and allocating and de-allocating the memory space as needed. Okay, so it arranges the space to the processes depending upon the availability and the demands. And next one is the storage management. So it's also a very important topic in this operating system. One of the important functionality, storage management, where we store the data. So operating system provides the informed logical view of the information, and we store generally the information in the form of files. So there we keep the data. So one thing, we have the file, and before that if we say we have the folder, and we also call the directory. So files are contained into the kept into the folders. So each medium is controlled by the device. We have the disk drives and tape drives. So these drives coordinates the different devices like hard disk, and previously we were using the floppy, and we also use the nowadays very popular the pen drive also. So what is happening? So here, because these devices, if we talk about these floppy, these DVD, CD, pen drive, they are not having the same speed of storing the data or accessibility, because the speed is variation is there, and its storage capacity also varies. So data transfer rate, access method, whether it is a sequential or random, so all those things matters here. So who does this storage management task is done here. Next we have the file management. The file management, we know that we store the information in where, in the logical unit that we call the file. So how we store in the system, how we keep in the operating system, so for that we have the file system. So we have the file system, different file system we have like NTFS, FAT. So they told the way how to store the information, how to store the information in the files and folder. Those things is managed here. So what happens? And also access control on the most system to determine who can access what. So these access privilege, all those things we also here provide in the system for the users. So creating, deleting the files directories, we have some primitives for manipulating, means changing and updating the files and directory, mapping into the secondary storage for permanent storage of the data. And we also do the backing up onto some non-volatile or some permanent storage, so that later on if we require some system, if crashes or any problem comes, later on we can also backs up the system to the original state where the system has crashed. Next one, it is basically IO system, means it is related to the input output devices. So one of the goal of the operating system is to hide the peculiarity, means complexity of the hardware devices from the users. So if we are using the keyboard or mouse, so we don't want to know internal complexity that is completely hidden. Just we want to use these devices, input output devices, for our use, not to know internal complexity. So input output subsystems responsible for what is that? Memory management of input output, including the buffering we do here for storing the data temporarily while it is being transferred, and we do the caching also for making the system more fast. So for that frequently accessed informations are kept somewhere. So because if the system access the information every time from the hard disk, it takes too much time. So for that case is a location that is very fast. Here we can store the data, and the system performance can be improved. We have the spooling also. Generally spooling term is used in it is also one way like buffering. So it is the sophisticated way of the buffering. So in spooling, suppose we have one printer, so printer wants to print, and many jobs, maybe you have given the prints like suppose J1, J2 and J3. These are the different jobs, means printing jobs to that. So in that in that printer we have one location that we call the spooler. So in this spooling, what happens, these jobs are available and printer takes one by one and does the printing. Okay, so general device driver interfaces are there, and drivers for the specific hardware devices are there. So these input output device management is done here. So because whenever we connect anything to our system, okay, it needs the drivers, device drivers. Without device driver, it can't help, it can't work. So this all management is done by the operating system. Next one is the protection and security. It's also very important because we can have in our system very sensitive information that we don't want to give the access to others. Knowingly or unknowingly the information can be tampered or they can harm us. So for that, protection and security is important. So in the protection, any mechanism for controlling the access of the process or user to resources defined by the operating system. And the security means the defense system against the internal and external attacks. So a lot of attacks happens to our system to steal the information. Sometimes they want to make the system corrupt or any tampering maybe trying to do by the attackers. So for that, the defense against the system is very important, and this property, this functionality is also one of the major work in the operating system. So like denial or DOS attack is there, worms, virus, identity theft. These are the different issues related to the security, and that is handled by different ways in the operating system. Sometimes which is not available, also we use the antivirus for protection against these. So system generally first distinguish among the users to determine who can do what. So this type of privileges also based on the users, type of users, this is given to the user so that the system can be running in the safe states. Okay, so for that we give the permissions, user permissions at different levels. Based on that they can use. So we have seen that in the system we have the guest user with very limited accessibility. We have the admin also is there. So in the administration account they have lot of privileges. So in this way different level hierarchy of users are created and they are assigned the responsibility and restricted access. So in this way we handle the protection security in this